I think success can be defined in terms of what did I do to make things better? What did I do to make people feel better? What did I do to improve the course of somebody's life?
Welcome to episode 226 of the Pathways to Success, where we have conversations with inspiring leaders about their business and keys to success. I'm Julian Placino, your host, and we have an outstanding show in store for you today. It is my pleasure to welcome Chris Kleinert, CEO of Hunt Consolidated Investments. Chris, welcome to the Pathways to Success.
Thank you.
How are you?
Thrilled to be here.
Yeah, it's
Honored.
great to have you. Yeah. And so Chris, you and I know each other actually from Orange Theory. So as far as getting to know the people around you, we've actually been working out in the same gym for the past 3 years, but I just had no idea who he was. So let that be a lesson to be intentional about getting to know the people around you, right? So it's great to sort of come full circle and collaborate with you this way.
It sure is. Yeah, thank you.
So Chris, you're the CEO of Hunt Consolidated Investments. Tell us all, what is Hunt Consolidated Investments?
As you can tell by the very creative name, we are in the investment business. So Hunt Consolidated is our family business, and it's really a holding company of oil and gas and real estate and investments and ranching and some other alternative energy things. And I'm fortunate to run the investment side of our business, which is really the real estate, investments, and ranching.
Gotcha. So if there was a mission behind the business, what would that be?
I work for an incredible family. And it's just a gift to be able to say I work for Hunt. And so what does that mean? So Ray has built an incredible reputation by being thoughtful, humble, incredibly smart, intuitive, foresightful. And I get to build on that legacy in my own small way. And so I try to find things that diversify away from the core business. And so I feel like I've got the greatest job in the world. I find real estate projects that would be unique and different. We're not trying to do just the same thing who does? Who wants to be just the same as anybody else? So we try to find unique things, whether it's investments that might, again, everything's to diversify, but what are some unique things where we can learn and expand the business and maybe meet interesting people that get us in a position to do other things that might be bigger, unique, different. And by that, we're growing these portfolios of alternative ideas, companies, projects, whatever it is, to just grow the business, but really give the family, and again, I don't mean this in a bold or arrogant way, but kind of build the platform. The platform's not about what we do, it's why we do it. And who are the people we impact, and how do those people impact us, right, to do great things? And I get to do that, and it's just such a thrill.
And if you were to put an explanation behind the why you do it, what would you say that is?
You know, that's a really good question, how to put into a sentence, but it's about the people, right? And so if by making we do a lot of different things. We make public stock investments. We'll, do a lot of things that on their own aren't really impacting people per se. But if we do it right in this particular area, that's more of an opportunity to then do other things. So we always have a public stock portfolio, but it's really the companies we do. If we're successful there, it's all the things we can do outside of the business. That's what it's really about.
Gotcha.
What do we do with these resources if we're successful, whether it's going to different countries or frankly it's in our own community? What are the differences we can make because we might have been successful just doing our core business?
Gotcha. So as CEO, how do you focus your efforts? How do you spend your day?
Okay, so let's differentiate between real estate and investments for a second. On the investment side, we're generally a passive investor. We try to find the best people, try to put at what they do in their particular niche and things we think are attractive, and then get out of their way, basically. So we'll allocate dollars, we'll invest in the business. If we get to be on the board, great. We always want to be more than just money in our deals. And so, again, we're not trying to run their business, but if we can be helpful or resourceful or open doors for them, we'll do everything we can to do it. But we don't operate anything. So, back to my day, I get the gift of talking to people all day and learning from them and just kind of a crazy job in a way, but it's so great. I'm so thankful.
And it's because of that insight and experience I thought what you would bring to the table of the conversation was so fascinating, because you're always meeting great people and you're always like learning about people and seeing like who they are. And I'm curious about your process to do that. So what is your vision for Hunt Consolidated Investments over the next couple of years?
Well, the next couple of years, so I'll get real micro for a second. We've got a 2,500 acre project in Frisco. It's called the Fields Development. We sold the land where the PGA of America headquarters is, the Omni headquarters is, 2 amazing golf courses. I'm a terrible golfer. I should put my name on the golf balls because I lose so many of them. It'd be a great way to connect with people if I had my phone number on there. But, we set out a vision when we bought that piece of property, and how we got it is a story into itself. But, our vision is to do something really, really special. Universal's coming there because they saw the vision, for this project. We've got some really unique homes we're doing. We've got some unique concepts that are coming. My partner is a longtime friend in this project. I say our partner, I should say, not mine. Hunt Realty's partner. Femi Carahan, if anybody's familiar with Femi Carahan, he did Legacy West and in Plano. And he's an incredible individual. He's got a great American dream story. And I love his passion. And his whole passion about Legacy West is about how do we make people feel when we're there. And I've gotten to know him really well. And when we did the Frisco project, the single biggest decision beyond, is this a great property? Could we do something with it? Of course, you could check all those boxes. But I asked Femi, I said, what would you do if you were me? And he said, let me think about it. And then that was Friday. On a Monday, he calls me back and says, not only should you buy this property, but I want to be your partner. And that was such a hugely emotional moment, honestly, because it captured all the reasons why I thought it would make sense. And then for him to say, I want to do it with you, that just put an exclamation point on what this could be. How do we make people feel when they're at Fields? We've got a project just north of downtown Dallas called Uptown. Goldman Sachs is moving its project there. That's really special to me because Dallas has an affordable housing issue. Where are these workers going to live, right? And affordable housing, in a way, this puts an exclamation point on the issue for Dallas to say, we've got to figure this out. Where are the people working in this building? If they have to live 20 miles away, that's a real challenge. Well, Goldman Sachs is slightly, it's a little bit different, but it exacerbates the issue when you have 5,000 people living downtown. We got to figure out where to house these people. Mm-hmm. And it's not all about the senior most people. It's about the core saying, okay, and add firefighters and policemen and teachers. And it gives Hunt a chance to do something sort of on the forefront or be a catalyst for saying, we got to figure this out, right? And then we've got the High Regency Dallas and Reunion Tower. And so we're working on 20 acres of undeveloped land, which will be right by the convention center. So I get to talk to people, I don't mean to sound so generic, but developers want to be on our sites. And so I get to talk to these people that have created or done amazing things and then almost be in the position of evaluating, can they come to our projects? And that's sort of a weird position to be in, but you want to pick the best. On the investment side, I sort of proactively make calls to people or get calls. So the worst thing I can do is default to sitting and doing email all day, because that is the antithesis of talking to great people all day, if that makes sense.
It does, yeah. So the work that you're doing is quite literally reshaping the landscape for the Dallas area. So that's awesome.
We're fortunate to have projects that allow us to do some of that. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So Chris, we want to learn more about you as a person. So tell us, where are you from and what was it like growing up?
I was born in Minneapolis, Minnesota. My parents were 20 and 18 at the time, so I showed up sort of surprising to them, or was a surprise. And I was really fortunate that both sets of grandparents lived within a couple miles of each other. And each one of the four, in their own way, both either came from Norway or Sweden. My Swedish grandparents came over on the boat. They had all these great stories. And they just poured into me, and I'm so thankful to have it. My dad's father was a Lutheran minister, so my faith is really a function of that. He was such a unique individual, and I got from him, he just loved people, loved on people. He was an evangelist in the Lutheran Church, is sort of an oxymoron, but that was him. He lived life, and that was a really powerful influence on me. That and my dad, who just was an incredibly hard worker. And we moved 11 times before I got out of high school, so in a way I got to see the country, didn't intend to that way, but nothing I can do about it. And then I went to SMU, and I've never left. Sort of, again, unintentionally, but came to the greatest market in the country, incredibly dynamic, and very thankful for all these, kind of how it all played out.
And when we talked, you were so gracious about your upbringing, and it sounds like you had a great way of growing up. But there was a particular turning point in your life where your life went from good to extraordinary. So what would you say that was?
Yeah, December 18th, 1985, 7 p.m. I met my wife, future wife, on a blind date. And I met the kindest, sweetest, most thoughtful person I'd ever met. And yeah, it's changed my life. She's incredible.
And her name is?
Ashlee Hunt. So I work for her father now, but she's amazing. Yeah, I joke because I work for my father-in-law, and we live next door to my father-in-law. And so that's a very unique circumstance, but it's worked out great. So, but Ashlee is just, anybody that knows her, she is an incredible, incredible person.
Tell us just a little bit about some of Ashlee's work in the community. She and you do so many things in terms of the world of philanthropy.
Yeah, so she wanted to be a teacher. She started out being a teacher, and we got married right out of school and started having kids right out of school. So she never became a teacher, but she was really engaged in kind of school activities and anything she could do to help. And that sort of started this, that's almost doing it a disservice. Ashlee's parents are so engaged in the community that it was modeled for us. You just do. We're in a position to give time and talent and treasure, and it'd be foolish not to engage in some way. Find your passion, figure out what it is. And that was modeled for us, and sort of, in our early 20s being modeled for it by our parents, we really kind of didn't know any different. Ashlee has always been involved in Genesis Women's Shelter, or Austin Street Center, or pick a couple. Then she started a food truck business, and her food truck business really was all about giving individuals a second chance job. And when I say second chance, really you could say first chance, where these were people that, largely young people, maybe did something foolish, committed a crime, felony in a lot of cases, at 16, 17, 18 years old, in a survival way to maybe what got them into trouble. It's going to change the course of their life forever. Well, how do you maybe undo some of that? Everybody makes mistakes, and you take a couple of these individuals, maybe, I don't know how many she's employed over time, but pouring back into them, hey, you are somebody, you have value. And just watching her do that is so inspiring, because she's changed people's lives ever since I've known her. Yeah. I mean, it's amazing. Yeah, it's such a motivator.
And definitely check out the work that Ashlee does. She is really helping out the community in so many
Ruthie's
different
Rolling
ways.
Cafe, if you've not heard of it.
Pretty.
Hers was the second non-construction food truck approved in the city of Dallas. This was back to 2010. We could tell you some funny stories of people that had no idea what they were doing back then, but it's turned out great.
So Chris, so much of what we're discussing right now, why we're here, is because of the Hunt family, the Hunt name, the Hunt legacy. So for those of us who are not familiar with the Hunt family, give us just a little bit about who the Hunt family is.
Yeah, so my brother-in-law, Hunter Hunt, named after Ray's wife's maiden name, Nancy Hunter. Hunter likes to say the family tree was struck by lightning many, many times. Okay, so at the top of the tree, or I'm not sure how these work, but H.L. Hunt, many of you have heard of H.L. Hunt, a legendary, unique individual. I never met him. But I knew his second wife, Ruth, Granny Ruth, who Ruthie's food trucks are named after. She was a remarkable person. And Ray was the oldest of the second family. And if this tells you something about Ray, when the Mr. Hunt died, Ray was executor of the estate. He picked Ray to do it, which says a lot about him. And, what people think of Hunt Oil today, or maybe have always thought, was really a shell of what it became when Ray took it over in 1974. And being able to work for Ray has his wife Nancy and 5 kids, Ashlee being the oldest. He's an incredible individual. He's super humble. His story is out there, but he doesn't tell his story. It's just a story told by virtue of things that he's done. But he's a very principled man. He's got philosophies on everything, which many of them he's instilled in me. But he's a leader. He's an inspirer. He gives people a chance. He gives people latitude to succeed and grow. And I've been the beneficiary of that for sure.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
So I am curious about this. What have you observed about the Hunt family that breeds excellence?
Yeah, that's an excellent question because there's really not any one facet to it. Ray is a visionary, and he's not afraid to take risk. And there's a difference between being foolish and doing crazy things and thoughtfully doing something that could succeed. I mentioned Hunt Oil was kind of a shell of itself. Ray's a contrarian, and that's a little bit of a philosophy that he's instilled in me. And the 3 biggest transformational things in our company are all things that people said either couldn't be done, why would you do it, it's too expensive, others have tried and failed, you're crazy for doing it. Some of these things may not mean a whole lot, but the North Sea, there's the Beatrice Field in the North Sea. Ray went there. When majors are going one place, Ray would typically go elsewhere, go to where everybody's fleeing, okay? And so when people were coming domestically, he then went abroad, and that's where the North Sea comes in. That was sort of a step change for Hunt. The big step change for Hunt was early 1980s, and he went to the country of Yemen. And a lot of people hear about it now because there's this really unfortunate fight, but it's an incredible country. Ray went there and found one of the biggest basins ever found at that time, and that radically changed our company. And can I tell one story?
Sure.
This, stories like this, every company's got something like this, and this one is ours. And forgive me if I get kind of emotional about it because it's so powerful when you think of Ray. So we find this field in 1981. We're doing all this work. We need a partner because it's way beyond what Hunt, and Hunt being private, you don't have to report numbers or anything like that. And so Hunt, we've been a big landowner for a long time, and in some parts of the world, land ownership would just convey gravitas and massive wealth. And anyway, so we get selected, we do this exploration, we get selected to kind of do this project. We find this big basin, it's way beyond what we could do. And in 1984, once it's kind of ours to get after and start drilling and extracting, we try to partner with somebody, and Exxon is one of the people we're working with. And then it was too big for them, and there was a Korean consortium we were going to bring in. Okay, so all this is in the making while we're finding out just what we need. We get the results, and we realize it is so big. And the way we could do this, we really actually didn't need some of this other capital. Ray knew that and still honored all these contracts. These relationships have come, I'm shortening the story because I don't want to go so long. And in 1985, the oil prices dropped. So these companies were thankful to come in at a certain price deck. Prices went from 30 to 10 in 1985. These companies stayed with us, but it's proven to be the best projects for them and best projects for us that we've ever had. Yemen, it's so sad. It's such a beautiful country, and it's just torn up. But anyway, I butchered that story. But the whole point was Ray honored these contracts when he didn't have to, and they always came back in a very, very positive way years later with other really good things for us. And we just continue to employ, how would you want to be treated? Did you shake hands on a deal? Did you give your word? And simple things, but honoring them sometimes isn't as simple as the words you might use. Yeah. And I've seen that come back to help us so many times.
Yeah, so much of what I heard is about doing right by people doing things differently. You mentioned he was a contrarian, but yeah, ultimately honoring your word and your commitment. So I think that's great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Impactful. Very impactful.
So Chris, I hear what the cynics might be saying here, especially the theme of what we're talking about, right? But perhaps they may say something like, Chris got lucky because of who he married. Now, why are they wrong or why are they right?
Or could it be both?
Or can it be both? Yeah.
Yeah, my wife likes to tell the story. The individual that introduced us was a fraternity brother of mine who my wife, I think, really liked. And he was tired of her. This friend of mine, Blake, was saying, all right, I've got to get Ashlee off my back. I'm going to set this, I'll show you. I'll set you up on this date, And so, yeah, from the beginning, I was lucky in that sense because I otherwise would never have met her. And just how that's changed my life. And one could easily say, how lucky you got. And that's fair. I would also say that there are so many things that one can assume and not be right. And if one really knew the Hunt family and really knew Ashlee, you would go, yeah, wow, you are super lucky because they are so kind. They are so engaged. They're the nicest people you'd ever want to know. That's how I'm lucky, right? I'd like to think that I've worked hard and I've tried to honor Ray and Ashlee and the entire family and everything I do. And really that, in a way, is the bar. Would I want to do something that does anything that could harm this family or our company's reputation or whatever? No, but that's a high bar. So in a good way, that sort of begs you got to find great people, and we can talk more about that. But that's the bar. It's that simple.
I love that. Yeah, I think that's an incredible story. So thinking back then, anything we have not yet covered, that experiences that you've had that may have shaped your personality and your career to who you are today?
Maybe not any one, but we have a shared friendship with an individual named Bob Bodine.
Bob Bodine,
and
powerful.
I love Bob Bodine, and he's another person that loves other people. If anybody was here when Bob was here, his big thing is find a mentor. He's got multiple things, but one of his big things is find a mentor. And I sort of unintentionally have found great mentors that pour into me, and whether I realized it or not, just how profound a difference they made. And one of the things that feeds into sort of my bar on people is there's always something to find in an individual you can love and respect. And it's really our job to find that in somebody else, right? And it doesn't mean you're going to invest with everybody you talk to, but you can still love them, encourage them. And to me, watching if other people do that or not, it's an intangible. There's qualitative, there's quantitative, but a big qualitative point for me is how do those people treat other people? What are they doing to pour into other people? Because if you really don't pour into other people, it's hard to get them to want to do something for you, rally, for you, produce for you, whatever the descriptor is. But if you're a taskmaster and just brutal, you might get results, but for how long? And do we want to be associated with that? There are a lot of opportunities in this world. The deals will always outlast the money, I was told one time, and that is so true.
So finding mentors and really being intentional about your who, as Bob often talks about.
Exactly. Yeah.
Well, Chris, I want to spend the last 10 to 15 minutes here or so talking about your keys to success. And as we discussed, I wanted you to share what is your process to discern one's character. So let's start with this. What are the commonalities of the most successful entrepreneurs, CEOs, business leaders that you have invested in?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think it starts maybe with, maybe it doesn't start, but a huge component is curiosity. And I go back to it's my job. Everybody's got your own individual roles and the things you do. And everybody's in the process of figuring out what is it I can do to make myself as good as I can be at my job. Well, one of mine is to really probe and engage with whomever's across the table from me, because I'm sort of in the decision-making business, if you will, right? Should we do that? Should we do this? How do I compare the two? Always comes back to the people. And so I love seeing somebody else's curiosity. Well, how do I draw that out of somebody? Because that shows me how much they're weighing decisions that they make. It shows me how they think about people. It shows me kind of what they do to make themselves better. And really, in a way, that makes me better because I'm hearing all these great things from unique individuals. But it's their curiosity. Of course, it's their track record. But not always. You might see a young person that doesn't have a track record, but you see something in that person. Well, how do you put that person in a position to succeed? So I'm not doing a great job answering your question, but I love seeing purpose. Why is somebody doing what they're doing? What's driving them to do it? It's not meant to be a personality test, but it's kind of like that. Am I attracted to that person's desire to win, to succeed, to make things better? And this is flippant, but when you're trying to make a decision, I really believe if the world is full of people, the people that can just be the best at what they do by default is only going to be these people. And if you don't have to make a decision, then don't, because unless you find that person, unless you found that group, whether it's a customer you want to work with, whether it's an individual you want to work with, whether it's a person you want to hire, don't compromise. Every time I've gotten in trouble, I've tried to work around why I thought something here was the right answer.
Gotcha.
No, you still might be wrong here, but you don't ever want it to be a function of making you bet on the wrong jockey.
So what I heard was curiosity, I heard passion, I heard why, the reason for doing what they do, and sort of a track record of excellence.
Yeah.
So what is your methodology? Let's say you have interest in a person. Like, what does the start to finish look like? What is your process of getting to know them? And what do you do uniquely different to actually get to know who that person is?
Yeah, so I'll give you an example. This is sort of it's a nondescript one that frankly shouldn't be the example here, but we invested in a new private equity fund maybe 2 months ago. And our process, and again, this was modeled for me, so it's not anything I came up with, but I love doing it. I'd like to think that I've gotten better. The whole 10,000 hour thing. I've spent a lot of hours doing this, but this manager has told us countless times, myself and this partner of mine on the investment side, I can't believe you guys came out and did this. And I can't believe we came out and did what? You wanted to meet with every one of our portfolio company CEOs. You wanted to talk to everybody on our team. You wanted to make some reference calls. And I'm like, are you kidding me? How could we be the only ones that do that? And, we all have a million things to do, but if that's what you're, meaning me in this case, if I'm tasked with making investments, how do you not make these calls, right? And so what caused us to want to do it was we met with some of their company CEOs. I loved their way of thinking about their respective businesses. I love the fact that these fund managers chose those people, because part of the reason or one of the things we get to do is, if you chose those people, tell me about the people you didn't choose. Why did these stand out, relative to these? And just, again, I'm going way beyond your question, but the whole point of going to that, I wouldn't even say extra effort, but just doing what we do and assessing the people, that meant a lot to that individual. Following up with respect to, hey, do you know so-and-so? Would you take this reference call for somebody? Of course, that's what we do. If we partnered with you, we're your partner, right? We're not just, giving you money and then backing away and, hey, you got this, go, again, back to, life is short, capital is finite, treat your partners, like you would anybody else. And that reputation allows you to do so many other great things. I look at what you're building here. This is amazing. The energy level in here is fantastic, right? The clear care and concern you have for each other, that builds on itself, right? That extends to your customers by default, right? It makes your customers feel great. Your customers are going to want to talk to you. That's how we feel, right? And so if you don't do that, there are a lot of people with money that can invest. How do we make ourselves unique and different? Well, I'd like to think it's just by being ourselves, but it's purposeful.
So it's a very comprehensive approach, not just getting to know the leader, but the team and everything about
Absolutely.
them. Yeah. So Chris, you talked about the importance of always meeting people, but discerning who you spend your time with, both in your professional and personal spheres. So what is your discernment process for who you choose to spend time with?
My wife controls our social calendar, and I'm so thankful. I'm so thankful. I'm not going to ask for a show of hands here, who else that might apply to, but I'm so grateful because she loves to stretch us. So it's people we might not know. It's people doing really cool things that what could we learn from? How could we support them or improve ourselves? It's people in the community doing great things. It might be taking her truck team out. I tell you what, these young people, they are resilient, they're savvy, they're funny. They just haven't gotten the same chances in life, right? And so they're pouring into us. Sometimes you say, wow, it's so great. Or some might say, you're pouring into them. No. Why would we not want to spend more time with them? We've got a young man that he's succeeding in a way that almost is creating some resentfulness in his family. And he worked his way out. He was in prison. He got out of prison. He's worked with us, but in the meantime, he's enrolled at Dallas College. He wants to be a mechanic. He wants to have his own detailing shop. He's working on these certificates. He's starting to get a few customers, and his family took some money from him to kind of go do some other stuff. And he goes, I've got to get out of this situation, and come to find out he's been living in his car, for 3 weeks. And you realize, well, put it this way, we had no idea that he was living out of his car. It was such an eye-opener of his positivity and his pursuit of something, greater that he didn't tell us. He really didn't even think twice about telling us. It never occurred to him to tell us, but you just think, wow, okay, if that's what that person's doing, how inspiring is that? Just again, to be better at what I do every day, watching him trying to be better at what he does, change his whole life. It's just amazing. So how do we stretch ourselves? We try to engage. I say we loosely. Ashlee puts us in a position to engage on subjects or with people that would really stretch us, and I'm so thankful. Yeah.
Ashlee really has a great heart. Yeah.
She's amazing.
That's pretty awesome.
Yeah, she's fantastic.
So we've got a couple minutes left. I do want to ask you this. You said, because I know sometimes it's hard for people to say no to some people, right? Because there's always people trying to get your time. So what is the difference between being kind and nice, and why should that matter to everyone here?
It was sort of ingrained in me to be nice, and that was well-intended and poor advice. And this is maybe everybody probably realizes, but the eye-opener was, I forget the woman's name. She's an author, but clear is kind. Has everybody heard clear is kind? You can't, so in the investment business, if you're going to say, well, if you're the one wanting money, the worst thing that can happen to you is you're drug out by somebody who really fundamentally wasn't going to make the investment, but they didn't want to hurt your feelings. They didn't want to do whatever. That's nice, but that's really not nice. Kind is being clear. Kind is, you know what? I think you have something really cool, but we're not going to get there. We're just not, okay? I don't know if I have reasons, or maybe you have reasons, but articulating that's kindness, right? Nice is, oh, hey, I don't know. We all can think of examples of nice, but it's a very, to me, massive difference. Kind also is absolute clarity on where you stand. It's truthfulness. It's all those things done in a loving way. You can be nice in a loving way, but nice sometimes falls short of, call it that, clarity required. So I always try to embrace the kindness, even if it's going to produce some awkward moments. Awkwardness only lasts so long, and it's only as awkward as you make it, right? Nice creates a lot of uncertainty and or can. And to me, that's the difference.
So kindness has to do with clarity, and there's a way to be direct and loving at the same time. I know as a recruiter, it's like I hated telling people no, they didn't get the job, you know? So the worst thing you can do is string people along or ghost a candidate. But there is a kindness in telling them where you stand, and it's not necessarily no forever, but could be no in the future. But telling them where they stand is a good thing. So that absolutely makes sense.
Exactly.
Yeah. So Chris, close us out. What would you say is the best career advice? This is about pathways to success, the universal principles of success that your life represents. What's the best career advice that you can give all of us here today?
It's easy to say, pursue your passion. It's easy to say that. And so I want to stop short of saying that because one needs to have the healthy tension and the healthy mix of be the best where you are, right? Be the best I can be where I am. And how do I pour into people? How can I accept people that want to pour into me to be the best I am right now? If that leads me to where I'm passionate, hey, that's great. That's fantastic. I think it can be misguided advice to, pursue your passion, do whatever, because it just may not lead to a job per se. But I think so many people can actually succeed where they are if they're slightly more open-minded to what could be. What's the potential? I might actually have to work for something that's a couple years out, but hey, I like my position. I love my coworkers. I think this can, I think people underestimate the value of just being the best right now, and where can that take me? Yeah. So that's my career advice.
I think that's great advice, to do the best with what you have, where you are right now. And the world seems to find a way to reward people who are like that. You begin to sort of attract opportunities by the person you become.
Because you're not giving up on your aspirations.
Yeah.
Right? Yes, you can always figure out where your passion may lead you, but don't forego what could be right now, right? Yeah. So
I love that.
Yeah.
So Chris, final question here for you. The show is called Pathways to Success. What is your definition of success?
Legacy is a strong word, and I don't really think about what kind of legacy I'm going to leave, but I think success can be defined in terms of what did I do to make things better? What did I do to make people feel better? What did I do to create what's hopefully lasting change? What did I do to improve the course of somebody's life through things I'm doing? And if I can hopefully I can check all those boxes on something, but if I can check as many of those boxes on back to what am I doing today? What am I working on that can do these things? If I can check those boxes, I would deem that a success.
And I think that's an awesome definition. Chris, this has been an absolute pleasure to have you on the show.
Thank you, Julian. This has been fun. Really, I'm so grateful.
And Chris, if you would go into this camera right here, tell us how to connect with you, how to support you.
Yeah, my name is Chris Kleinert. I work for Hunt Consolidated Investments. My email address is ckleinert@huntinvestments.com, singular, huntinvestment.com. Reach out to me and I will get back with you.
Oh, you shared your email address.
Yeah, I mean it. Absolutely.
All right, cool.
It's about the people.
Absolutely,
right?
absolutely.
Yeah.
So we should have all your contact information in the show notes. Chris, it's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you so much for being on the show.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And everyone else, thank you all for tuning into another episode of the Pathways to Success. As always, make sure to subscribe, comment, and share. And we'll see you next time on the next episode of the Pathways to Success.